because I just want to have fun. So, hello.
Hello there, Soze. Did you need to speak, or is that a I'm done conversation?
I went and talked to the psychiatrist, and I'm so insane.
Well,
Um,
that's between you and them.
the psychiatrist has no idea who to talk to about any of this. Doesn't have an office, and never gets phone calls to tell her that people are ready for. You know what? Maybe it says it in PCP 2.0 that they have the power to do it, so it's done. We should just forget about it.
Power to do what there?
It says as examples they have the power to make other law enforcement and government entities out on the island. So that means it's done. That's why I was put in jail for treason. Did you not hear?
It said I wasn't at the trial, so no, I didn't hear. I don't read the newspaper all that often, but I mean, I'm guessing you served your time at this point. And
I don't
define
know.
it, my
Actually,
friend. What is it? You haven't said what it was.
it? What are we talking about again? I forgot. Might be my insanity.
All right. Well, you said the PCP, whatever it is done. What the hell are you referring to there?
So the judge said, let me go and read it for you, just so I can be sure I'm reading the right legislation like an insane person would do. 1 second. I'm almost there. I'm running in gumboots right now because I'm insane. Okay, let me have a look here. So, his finding for it being in the jurisdiction of police, the police in the city, they have jurisdiction in Blaine County because it says example of powers that the mayor's office reserves, but are not limited to, are as such. So this would imply that these are the powers they have, but haven't done yet, hence the reserving part. And it says the formation of other law enforcement departments as the need arises in other regions of Los Santos beyond the city. Coverage is important. So, because it says that he has the power to do it in a document as an example of a power in which he could do it, instead of writing the legislation just to make it a law, he that's that he showed me that the law wasn't created, but they had the power to do it, and that's what the jurisdiction means. So I think, from my understanding, that if you have the power to do something or are capable of doing it, then you have done it. So what this should be done, it should be set as a precedent. So since I technically have the power to become the president of the United States, I would be the president, and then I could
Give yourself the actual power to do so afterwards, and then write it in.
Well, no. I just have it because that's what it says here. You get the power because you have the power to write the law.
The cart before the horse type of thing.
Yeah. So technically, I have the power to punch that judge in the face. So he's punched in the face now because that's how. I think that's how it works in his sane world, and it's the opposite because I'm insane, so I don't get it. He actually made me do a psych test, and you know what I did to him? Did I do the Los Santos and Blaine County apartment thing to you?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I did it to him before he gave the judgment, and he sort of just looked, oh, when I said it, and then he still did it.
So how do you feel about this then?
I honestly believe that people think that if you get a power from a state entity, that you have the power of all that state, not just the entity that passes it along. So if I, as a mayor or council, get legislative authority, I think they believe that. I guess they. I don't know, actually. I don't know what they believe. and I don't know what the answer is. Hey, tell me, is that Judge Cross or whatever the fuck his name is a good judge?
Is he a good judge? Frankly, son, that is not my. I don't make those decisions that people aren't. I don't say what they are. They aren't decisions that
How
we
about
made.
this? Have you seen
You're
him
asking me
around
to get.
Siobhan? Have you seen him around Siobhan at all?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's not like I actively look for her to begin with.
That's a chance, then. We've got a chance. Siobhan. I always get it wrong.
And say
Siobhan,
what?
right? Murphy's trying to impeach the mayor and the devil.
Yes, I bet him $10,000 that no one would actually do it, and he had the balls to do it. He asked if I'd do it. Would that be 10,000? I said, yeah, sure, absolutely, go for it.
I mean, I would have done it too, but I ain't got a bar license, so can't do nothing. In fact, I would have fucked everybody in the council for needing to be impeached, since the council says that they're not meant to join other agencies, and well, the DOJ is a separate agency to the council, I guess. So's a police officer or sheriff officer.
Well, I mean, at this point, I don't understand why they're all still deputized, which
I
is
think
what
that
state of
might have been
emergency is
removed.
there.
I'm not
Has it?
sure, but even still, it wasn't about the deputization. It's the fact that Mr. Thoroughbred made himself a police officer, and his wife also a police officer, and that's how she prosecuted me through the treason proceedings. And
Yeah, you want
then,
to talk about insane? That sounds insane to me.
right. But the thing is, you don't hang off their tit and are brainwashed by stupidity, it appears. So you might be insane. You need to be careful.
Well, son, you understand that being a judge here requires some form of insanity. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no point any time, my friend, where any party is usually happy with anything that you do. That is insanity. The fact that I still want to do this is insanity. So if you ask if I'm insane or you say I might be, then yes, there's a little insanity in every one of us.
Well, I think what that insanity is your moral and your passion as a human. I think it's tied to me, and that's why I was a cop for so long. It's not necessarily about the law itself. It's about what is right as a whole, I guess, as a moral or something like that. So maybe that's why we do it to ourselves.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you gave me the whole apartment analogy.
Oh, 1 second. There was another thing I read in the Constitution. It says it's the San Andreas Penal Code. So every charge is actually of state authority, because it says in the Treason Act that the state authority shall be considered a senator or the laws of the state. So if you're to rebel against any law of the state, you could technically be charged for treason. So if I become a police officer, I might charge everybody for treason.
Anyone that says fuck the government at any point in time that could technically be charged with it because you're now inciting a potential riot, which is going against the actual law that is around you.
Right. I mean, rebel is a pretty... You can't argue semantics, and it does have the meaning of just going against authority. And if you were to set up a race knowingly to break the law, I believe that would be rebelling against, citations for speeding, reckless driving, whatever you intend to do.
You're not wrong there, technically. It's semantics, yes.
Exactly. It is semantic, it is stupid, but it's also like, if somebody returns my police vehicle because of safety issues, is it really joyriding? Does the name joyriding not have any emphasis to the fucking penal code itself? Listen.
Mr. Soze.
this is the problem with semantics, is the semantics are not to be argued, but they are to be encouraged by some of the DOJ and judges. I believe that is what will always be an issue with the people of society.
You are correct with this. Now, here's what I want to ask you, though, with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So 6 years ago, 5 years ago, however long ago it was,
Mm-hmm.
you're an officer of the law, state trooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we go to the courtroom and you start asking the question regards to badge and charging people, etc., and this, please don't take offense to this, but technically, how many times did you probably let people go and have that conversation, or you didn't want to take it to court?
You mean in back in the day?
Yes.
Well, back in the day, we were a formed government under the United States of America. It was already formed. This was a government that collapsed and had to be recreated. So that's like arguing something that isn't in existence and something that was in existence previous to that. So,
But to the core is still a moral and ethical code, as you just mentioned before.
what are you asking exactly?
How many times previously have you done the same thing in terms of letting people go or not enforcing something in the past?
You mean officer discretion? There's been plenty of times,
Correct.
and it all depends on what's happening. It's I've seen people with a weapon defend themselves, and it's technically got to be somewhat against the law. It could have been an illegal weapon, but if I know they're being hunted by 8 people, I ain't gonna send somebody out to die. That's the thing. Like I said, it's never about the law itself. It's about the morals and understanding of the people as a whole.
All right. So in technicality, you caught someone selling weed and you say, all right, well, let me raid them, have a whole bunch of shit on them. How often would you say, all right, well, I'm going to take this all to court?
Well, I didn't really do any raids for weed unless I believed it was for a cause that had, connections to other crimes like violence and other drugs, perhaps. I don't believe I've ever done a specific, just a weed raid, so to speak.
Hypothetically,
I don't go by the SOP. I go by what I believe is right, and the SOP is there to guide the idiots. You know what I mean? So what? Give me the exact hypothetical, and I'll try.
well, no, you said exactly there. Is that you don't follow the SOPs and you believe what you do is right. Now,
Right.
when it came to the court case that we just had, your first one there, it wasn't just the SOPs that were broken. It was also what you believed in to be right.
Well,
And I do think if there's no guidance around that and what is acceptable or not acceptable, then we go into strictly lawlessness.
well, not necessarily true because this is the indicator that I've seen that we're still a state of America. So surely there'd be some understanding in terms of what actual are enforceable state laws, but also federal law as well. I believe the laws would prevent any sort of like harm or whatnot coming to their people, and that's why the municipal governments are encouraged to make the law and protect the people around them. So there's a big difference between a municipal authority being a mayor granting powers of authority to different regions compared to a state where they could say, you do have authority everywhere, but it's still up to the local municipal government to spread their jurisdiction based on what's required. If it wasn't like that, we wouldn't have a mayor, we'd have a governor.
Well, yes. Now, here's part of that. So I just had a conversation with Slacks earlier. He was asking about trying to get a subpoena for something. All right. Now, that's something, and I can't go too much into that. It's technically not illegal. And I said, I can't do anything about that. It's not illegal. There's nothing against it. There's nothing preventing that from happening. I said, I'm not going too much into this. There's no law.
From getting a subpoena, did you say?
For something I can't go too specific in, but yes.
Well, there is law to how searches
no. Yes, I get that part. but the thing he was requesting and why he was requesting it.
I mean, doesn't it say it requires PC in the Constitution and to be signed by a judge?
Yes,
Which would mean it
yes,
needs to
that
be a criminal act for something to have happened.
correct. And there's no criminal act there.
Right, so you shouldn't be able to get a search and seizure or whatever, right?
Correct, which is why I was nodding. All right. But here's the thing: if we want it to be a criminal act, it has to go through damn council, which is who the hell are they to make laws? Technically, it's a few of us that actually care about it, but it's people that want to do whatever the fuck all they have.
Isn't a subpoena a part of a court proceeding though? So you could technically just write a precedent based on that if you're a justice according to the Constitution. Are your balls tied by somebody else? Does it say that you're a justice in the penal code, and for some reason there's just some thought that you can't actually do what the Constitution says for some strange? Is somebody treasonist?
Son, I'm not opening a damn rebellion there.
Okay, I get it. I understand. Let me just see here, though. I'm gonna look at the search and seizure thing, but I believe from memory it said something about just having the PC, but it also said that for anything to be lawful, you guys need to sign a search warrant for the subpoena to be okayed. Let me look at this shit. Absent probable cause with exigency, searches of real and private property will require a duly issued, an executed search warrant. Yeah, I mean, it has to be duly authorized by a judge or justice, shall be considered lawful. So, I mean, search incident to lawful arrest as well as, I mean, it says, it doesn't even say that you would necessarily need the PC, but I guess this is the thing, right? We are under America, and there's an American Constitution, and I believe unless we write something in our own, even though we are broken off technically, that the law would likely be what is written. So I believe to fix something like that, I mean, listen, it's insane, okay? I just think it's insane. But there's a very simple fix for what does happen. All they need to do is write it and just say, listen, we are the power, and this is the only law that resides here, and then it is what it is.
Hey, who is the they part there? That's the issue.
Well, you guys as justices should be able to set a precedent, right? It says in there. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. I mean, it's literally law that it would happen, so.
Well, under jurisprudence, yes.
Let me crawl back over here and have another look. The jurisprudence is based on any court proceeding, though, correct? Or is it only based on the result of a actual trial? That's the thing I'd need to read up on, and if I read up on that, then I'm going to be cold insane or something. If I tell them.
Well, I did say the judicial process of trial, so there's no trial there, but jurisprudence is a philosophy and theory of it. Now, I like theory.
Well, it says two bodies possess initial legislative authority in Los Santos. The City Council roles and the Justices of Los Santos are the gateway to the implementation of legislation, not just case law. So it does say you guys can implement legislation. So if it implies that it can be done and there's nothing otherwise, this is the Constitution, right? So it says the council has democratic voting process, which is forced. The justices exercise their legislative authority through the mechanism of jurisprudence. Precedents set by justices will act as common law. So it says you can set a precedence whenever you want. I don't know what specifically that is. Let me goggle this.
Well, it has it in Article 3 if you want to continue down there.
It says, well, it does, but that is not what jurisprudence means entirely. This is just for the due process part, I believe. But jurisprudence is any processing of the law, not anything else. It's also the philosophy of law. So it says, based on your philosophies and what you see, technically you should be able to pass a law. From my understanding, like who's to tell you that you can't do this? I'm curious. From my understanding, if you read this, any justice can pass legislation as they wish based on philosophy of law. It doesn't
Well,
say
that would
you
be
need to vote
technically
it.
correct.
Yeah, well, maybe it's worth somebody putting something in before somebody realizes that, and they can do whatever the fuck they want.
It's the moral part of this again, and the ethical side.
I mean, what do they label you as in your documents? You guys are judges, right? So you'd be considered a justice.
Well, that's the thing. Back damn long time ago, justice was a rank by itself. Now there isn't anything that is a substantial ranking structure that we have. At one point, that meant something, and that is not exactly defined as it is now.
Right.
So it's a question mark in my brain because,
well, a justice,
my knowledge,
by definition, is just a judge. It doesn't even imply ranking. So
correct. But remind me, like I said, in the past, when you were a police officer, there were justices, and then there were appointed judges, etc. Justice was technically kind of the second one. So what we've done previously, sure, not exactly now, but it was never clarified.
Well, I mean, it is the Constitution at the end of the day, and if the word justice isn't clarified by law, then logically you'd consider it what the rest of America would be under which would be a judge. Like I'd get the so it would likely be a fully qualified judge. It wouldn't be a in criminal law. It wouldn't be like a somebody that's being trained or something. You'd still otherwise you wouldn't be a full justice, I guess.
I don't know. That's a great question.
I mean, it doesn't even say nothing about the Chief Justice having power necessarily over the DOJ, does it? It says the justices.
No, it does actually.
Oh,
well, hold on. Yes, there's something around there with the council side to it. Expectation of councils and members, whatever the hell that is. There's a council one actually says it runs the DOJ.
Mm-hmm. Wait, the council runs the DOJ? Did you say?
No, the Chief Justice says the Chief Justice seat will oversee the Department of Justice.
Oh, right, the seat, right, but that's only for council meetings. Yeah, it's just a forced entity that somebody is. That just because it says head there doesn't mean they have more power. It just means they're gonna oversee the DOJ perspective inside the meetings. This is the total misunderstanding that people really don't understand with authorities and how it's passed from authorities. So if I'm a park ranger, right, and somebody says, hey, listen, this is a state park, you're a state ranger now, that don't mean I'm equal to the state powers above that can do anything. It just means I'm a state ranger. It's a label. It's just like a state building, state anything. It depends on if you're an entity, it depends on where you get the power from, on which you could apply the power. So here it says constitutionally that you get legislative power, both of you, to make the laws. It doesn't say anything about having extra fucking jurisdictions and all that sort of shit. So it's a separate type of entity when it comes to that sort of enforcement. Well, that's how I would see it. Otherwise, like I said, it trickles down to the entire, we're technically all fucking presidents if they want to do some dumb shit, or every crime is technically a federal crime because the authority ends up coming from the highest government and passed down through authorities. That's why the letter of authority needs to be defined and understood as a separate entity. Otherwise, we're all not on a ladder. We're on the same level, no matter what level we're at, and it doesn't make no sense. So, for instance, think about this, right? If I'm a state police officer, I have a jurisdiction. I'm in New York, right? I can't just drive over to California and start saying I'm a state police officer because it's a similar jurisdiction, correct? And that's the same thing here with law
Right.
enforcement that is a county enforcement. It is implied that that's what you are when you're first created by the bounds of which municipal government would create you. So until that government expands or has a writing to say elsewhere, then why would you go to another territory or zone and imply that you have jurisdiction there? It just doesn't make sense. It's a very simple thing when you understand it, honestly, but.
So when they ask the question, or the question begs itself, is that who is that one that would say, technically, that, for example, BCSO now has governance of Blaine County?
Well, the mayor technically has power to do it because PCP 2.0 explains he has the reserved powers to create this, but he'd have to write the legislation while doing it. But technically, that means he could do the legislation, and it couldn't be questioned because they signed off as a council to give him the powers to create that without restriction. So the state would just authorize it like every other legislation.
So what you're saying is that part of this argument, excuse me if I'm wrong here, but if they don't have power and there's no power to begin with, think of this theoretically as like a meter, right? You have 100% of the control within Los Santos, right? And you have 0% Blaine County, 0% Paleto.
Yes.
Technically, there's no way that you could be given control of something that doesn't exist over there.
That's not true. So think about this, right?
And how does that work then?
It works the
tell me
same
what you
way.
think with this.
So if I was to buy the sheriff's department up in whatever the fuck it is, Paleto, but I am Los Santos County, I would by rights when I sign those papers, the states would give you the property as your jurisdiction instantly because it is now your property, right? So if I'm to write something on paper and the state authorizes it and it's not contested, then it is now of law. So think about this, and that's why the analogy works pretty simple inside the apartment situation. Just give us one moment. I'm going insane. What's up, buddy? What's up?
So if you keep thinking that you're insane or believing that, then you will be.
Oh man, I was just looking at the ground and there was two ants fucking each other, and then a bird came down and ate them, and then another bird came down and started fucking that bird. It had like a dick that was like a pigtail. It was circular. Did you know birds have dicks like that? Anyways,
not something I typically look at, but that might be one of those TikTok things that you might make some money out of. Why don't you monetize it?
What were we? What was I? So
the power. If you have power in one area and you trying to say that it is uncontested or it is given by a state.
Think about this. This is I can make the analogy easier with the apartments because it's not about what the entity is in this case. It's a perimeter. It's a boundary, right? Your apartment is a boundary. It isn't the door. If the door's open, people can't come in. They can still be trespassed, right? It's a boundary. People see the walls and a door as if that means something, but it doesn't. The boundary is something that is a number of feet or meters calculated by, a paper that's written or the building documents. That's how you would find this. So whatever the council would have if you requested it. Every single piece of jurisdiction, it doesn't matter if it's a house, a business, or whatever is a boundary. Everything is technically a boundary. A county is a boundary. Everything is. Every sort of jurisdiction is just a boundary, and that's what people need to see it as, and an entity in itself. But those boundaries can have boundaries inside them. Of course, that's how states to counties, and counties to buildings and parks and whatnot work. Every boundary is just an entity of its own jurisdiction. So you can have personal jurisdiction with housing.
I understand this, yes.
Right, and that's why I say, okay, so listen.
That's why housing authorities exist, HOAs, that's why Parks and Rec, etc. You're correct.
Exactly.
I understand all that.
Okay, so listen. Our apartments here are the perfect example because those apartments were of the state to begin with. Everything was, right? And then they gave us and said, hey, you guys have Los Santos. Y'all can go do whatever the fuck you want with authority. We'll auto sign any shit you want. If you want to make agencies, make authorities, you can take them. But this would also imply, in the same way, that the authority would be like a jurisdictional authority, an entity authority. So they could take the authority of jail, but technically it's state-run anyway, so it would still function. But the jurisdiction would be separate, right? So technically, since it's a state penitentiary, a DOC would be called a state agent, but he isn't a state, of state power in that essence. He just has authority in that area above anybody else. That's how it would work.
Which was granted by the body above them.
Yes, but technically, the body above them that is making them isn't giving them more power than the body has, right? But
only in that area, concentrated.
Exactly. So it's not competing with any other authority in any way because the land now changes to their jurisdiction, which means if police go there, technically they would be under the DOC in the enforcement area because. Unless it's written otherwise, that's how you would do it, right? Because they are now the authority. Either way, so I'm going to get lost here, but think about this. The apartments, right? The apartments are owned by, let's just keep it simple. The apartments are state-owned. The manager of the apartments is the mayor, okay? Every zoning apartment is whoever he puts it out to. Okay, that could be anybody. That could be a state park. Could own one of them. That could be Blaine County. Could be one. One could be a jail. One could be anything. It's just a boundary that he's given permission to give out to people from the state. But the state is saying, listen, Mayor, you got to manage this shit. I want you to write everything down here in this computer, and I'll sign off on it. And whatever's done is done, right? So when you have a DOJ that is enforcing San Andreas penal codes or whatever, they can enforce the law of anywhere in San Andreas, but the people that bring them the jurisdiction, based on jurisdiction, they'd have to enforce the law based on that area. But since they're San Andreas right now, then technically, anything could be charged. So, if I'm the DOJ and I live in those apartments, while I might only have state as a state entity be in one apartment. I still, while in there, I have the authority to prosecute anybody, really, for crimes they committed. But I technically, if I did those crimes, I could have been prosecuted for it, I believe. Because it's still technically a penal code of the state, right? But if the police didn't have jurisdiction there to put me in handcuffs and whatnot to begin with, they would just be considered a civilian. So anything I did was self-defense, in my opinion. So it's arguable, of course. But the point I was making with these apartments, right, is the mayor can control any jurisdictive area by appointing it to people or the property being purchased. So if Mr. Mayor goes and buys the Los Santos room, that would automatically give him, the jurisdiction in there, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can just start writing up laws, doing whatever he wants. But if he doesn't write in his computer that, hey, I own Blaine County, he can't just start walking next door to the apartment that the state said, hey, this is state land, everything's being pushed back to what it was. You got to start here and build out. He can't just fucking go in there and start doing whatever the fuck he wants. He needs to write it down and the state will go, yep, you get, go do it. So technically, you could write a document and say, hey, guys, I'm going to knock down this wall if you give the okay, and I'm just going to spread my room to both these. I'm going to own both these, shit. And then he just has both the areas. That's just how it is.
Now, here's a bigger question with this. Here's who gave keys to the manager? Because to what my understanding is that the manager was one of those apartments and not the entire manager of the building.
The manager is the mayor.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So
he is, to my understanding and how it looked there, it makes it sound like the mayor is only in charge of, or the head of one of those.
He is in, well, technically, he has the power to take jurisdiction from anywhere in that building if he writes a paper and the state who actually owns the building says okay. So when they start, they give him the office, right? Which could be the fucking DOJ building or what the fuck ever. That's where he works from. But they also, he also got Los Santos room as well. But he didn't get any other room. That's just like empty rooms that are there for rent, or when something needs to happen, they'll be there. Technically, he could have taken the entire thing because they gave him the power to do so. There was no restrictions on these laws or guidelines. So you've got to understand, usually if you give a building, and you have the power to write the, do whatever, you'd have some sort of like set boundaries or set, guides, terms of service, what the fuck ever. So, it's like, hey, you make fucking $10 million a month, you can live here for free and just run the place type shit or whatever. That's what a building would have. But here, they got Los Santos, just like they literally said, you're the two authorities, go make laws, do whatever the fuck you want. That's what it is. It's just, it still needs to be written by a law, in law to be a law. Otherwise, what is the law? It doesn't matter if it's criminal. It doesn't matter if it's territory based. Until that law is there, just like the penal codes, there is no law.
Let me ask the honest question there. Do you think Max is actually smart enough to figure out that he needs to write all that shit down and have that down there? Has it been explained to him at any point in time? This is what actually needs to happen.
It literally says in PCP 2.0.
I understand that. Do you think he actually do that, though? No.
No, he's fucking stupid. Yeah, it said, these are the examples of my powers. But that's the thing. They had those powers from the start of the Constitution. Because it says you have the legislative authority to write whatever the fuck you want. And if the state auto signs on things, then it's not contested. So for instance, think about this, right? Me and you live next to each other, right? Blaine County and dickfuck, Los Santos. I'm like, hey, hang on a second. My paper right here, I'm pretty sure this fence is one meter too close. It should be the other way, or 1 foot, whatever you fucking Yankees say. All we need to do to authorize or understand that is talk to the people above us and get it set in stone, because they're the boss, right? And it's the same with this shit. I ain't gonna be able to go say, hey, my borders are now this long without being approved by somebody. So I can't extend my fence line because I believe I have the power. I have to talk to the state, or, well, it would be the local municipal in this case, whoever controls the boundaries of housing, and say, hey, look at my papers. This is correct. Let's get it confirmed by you because you're the higher authority, and then we'll move forward. It doesn't just happen naturally. But luckily for these guys, they don't need to get everything confirmed. It just says the state will, remove things if needed, or the federal. So everything's just authorized by a sign-off automatically, essentially. You know, they're throwing it on the governor's desk, he's just ticking, he don't give a fuck.
Well, correct, and all those things exist, and that all matters with it. The reality is, it needs to be written like a 5-year-old can understand it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I feel like it's only a few fucking sentences these fucking doofuses need, and there'd be little to no holes. I mean, there's also the fact that, like, if we ain't using the American due process, the United States due process, or any of the Constitution, it probably should be written somewhere to say this is the only law of Los Santos and its or San Andreas, whatever the fuck they deem it to be. Otherwise, you know, aren't we meant to receive like the same constitutional rights and shit as American people? Like,
Well, we adapt things just like the American people as common law, so yes.
mm-hmm. I mean, it might be a little bit different because it is specific to say this. You know, the state, I believe, did break off to create its, its shit again. So maybe there's something in that that's already said that, you know, makes sense that we haven't read, because I know those documents, 7 months ago or something, they were pretty brief and released to the public about skeleton crews and new agencies needing to be formed to spread out into factions or some bullshit like that. So I mean, listen, I believe it's all implied that it was meant to happen. It just, I don't know. It's
more the guiding hand that needs to push them a certain way, because if they don't, or not aware of how to do it like the first time, it's like, having like a leap of faith jump. No one's going to do it unless they see somebody else do it. And it's not going to happen unless it's actually shown how it happens. It's just like coming up with something the first damn time. The first one, you're called a pioneer. The second one, they'll just copy you.
Yeah. It's like Elon Musk or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, honestly. If I was a police officer, I would not have specifically read the jurisdictions. I would have just accounted for the SOPs and believed the people above me weren't stupid, so I don't blame police and even the DOJ. But the thing is, when it's brought up and it's explained and there's no real answer to why it isn't fixed, then I don't know what to do in a situation like that. I feel like, it seems strange. It just seems strange.
Let me ask you a personal question there. Why are you no longer a police officer? What the hell happened?
Well, I was away for 5 years like everybody else, and from my understanding, when they reduced the old agencies to skeleton crews, while they might still be there, there's just no people in them. So I don't know how it all works and shit.
So you came back and did you, the first time I saw you dressed like a shaman.
Oh, the bear suit? Yeah.
Yes. Like you just got done with something. Fair enough. That's why I'm asking you. You came back here, you started questioning a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was here to poke fun at it. I was just making fun of Bones with that shit on the wall, and then the asshole tried to put me in handcuffs for joyriding his vehicle because I returned it to him. So I don't know what happened to that motherfucker, but he definitely got fucking brainwashed or lost his sense of fucking moral somewhere along the line.
But you didn't want to go be an officer again.
I didn't have the chance. That was the first time I spoke to him face to face when he put me in handcuffs after training the asshole.
Oh. So if you were to go back and do it again, well, frankly, not do it again, but would you entertain that conversation that you were trying to be an officer again? What was your purpose when you came back here?
I don't know, to be honest, just see what was going on. But, I've been here that long that I've tried to leave and I've thought about leaving, but it's just, I believe it might make me more angry to watch it burn.
Well, it kind of screwed yourself over, or at least getting the first charge of that. So now how does that happen, right? Because now we're back into a situation where you have a capital offense against you, And we just got through this whole rebuilding process and how previously sanguine happened, etc., which sounds very similar to a situation that you're kind of describing yourself in, is that there's individuals that wanted change, they fought for the change, and then was considered treasonous and etc. on top of it. So their previous was that they were backed into a corner with nothing else they could do because there's impressive authority or authority was being abused there. So begs to differ. What the hell is your next step there? Because that seems like the most logical path that someone would take. And I'm not saying do it, but I'm saying that is essentially how that all started.
Well, this is why I also talk about the Constitution and the federal laws. There's a lot of logical things that were made, and why the jury process was pretty heavily, accepted in a lot of places, because the people, and proving beyond a reasonable doubt is generally what the reasonable people would think, not one person that is a judge that doesn't go outside and see anything for himself or bother to read laws or anything like that. No offense to you, by the way. I'm implying others, but there's a reason why it's considered reasonable. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in a lot of courtrooms, not just fucking, what your opinion of the specific law is. A lot of the time, and I believe, like I said, everybody I talked to was somewhat understanding and pretty logical in the thought process. And even the people that did have some blowback to begin with, when I explained the side of things like I did in the courtroom, they were understanding and were like, okay, yeah, listen, that does make sense. I think you're right. But, sometimes you can't argue logic when there's a predetermined judge giving people predetermined information about the law, and which was meant to be setting precedents inside our municipal government and growing it. I believe that is the biggest issue. We don't have justices that believe what they want to be the philosophy of law, which is jurisprudence. Like we said, they encouraged by somebody. In their opinion of the law, which is completely against, philosophy in itself, if you're just following somebody.
Hello there. Who the hell's this? Ma'am, get the hell off my damn boat. Ma'am, get the hell off my damn boat.
You need me to shoot him?
No, Soze, I don't need you to shoot them. Ma'am, could you please go off my boat? I'm asking you very nicely. Well,
Hey.
you swam to me, go swim to the harbor then.
Just be careful.
I'm on a damn phone call.
That judge did say there's only jurisdiction on the island on the verdict, so you might be in international water right now or something.
Oh, she's fine. She just left. Call me fucking old and is pissed off. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. Kids these days, huh?
Well, frankly, yes. So anyway, what the hell were we discussing?
I don't know.
Precedent shit.
Yeah.
You're asking about precedent.
And bullshit.
Well, I mean, yes. Well, yeah, there's a lot to that. I agree. But anyway, it's how to evolve from that. Because if these things are pointed out and individuals believe in it, we can talk about this in circles all day. Mm-hmm. But it's the actuality of what is believed and how to be able to make a change with it becomes commonly accepted. Is it not?
Yes.
Because you and I talking is not going to change anything.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. The people are the power in a democracy, and it's hard to show that it's a democracy when there is no power in the people, because the council doesn't give a fuck about the people as a mass. They only ever gave a fuck about themselves at the end there because of the power at the top. And that's the same thing with the DOJ right now. Is if the same person's at the top, then law isn't for the people. or the philosophy of what people would deem to be the law. It's about one person's opinion, because Crane is the top of the DOJ, and Crane is tied with Max and what's his fucking name? The other asshole.
Well, what do you
Siobhan.
mean with that?
That one, Siobhan. They're like intertwined pretty well, and some things I've seen with some of the other council members, even with Murphy, they all sort of agreed, at least to the ones I've spoken to, that they weren't really understanding of the law and how it was being pushed and all, the repercussions of what they were doing entirely. And I don't think even they'd be opposed to it, things changing or whatnot. But, I mean, Cornwood sees the issues. I believe Kant has spoken about it being, a little strange. I'm not sure who else. I can't remember who else there is, but yeah.
Here's how I'll say with this. Crane is a very smart individual, right? And I've known him for quite some time. And there's a point where, a long time ago, a mayor, Mr. Denzel, was abusing powers, and Crane brought that up and was very concerned about those things. Mm-hmm. And gave very specific examples and asked me to do things about it, bring it to the people, and I did a few things with those. What I have seen is that fire with that, some of those things being passed, the Crane that did that with Mr. Williams in the past is not the same as happening now. And Mr. Crane is an absolute amazing person. I'll say this. I do trust him. But I think that fire that brought Mr. Williams when he was mayor and pointed out those things isn't exactly the same one there. When he was first starting, it was impressive. I think whatever red tape thing is going on right now between whoever the hell it is, I don't know if he has his hands behind his back, but I still believe in the guy for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's the reality of a lot of people that get into power. It's not necessarily that what they're doing is wrong or perceived as wrong. They forget they're there for the people. And if they don't have anything to keep them in check for that element, then they're going to, just do what they want and not bother looking into things, I believe. I've had the same experience with police officers and whatnot. Some have actually, genuinely reached out and agreed and whatnot, but there's others, I'll do something, and then they see everything happen. They don't do a thing. They got the option to push charges. I mean, I push that shit on the docket. There is enough PC, to show there's a court case possible, but not one person, once it was dismissed, did anything about it.
We were saying there should be a level of care there that is not.
Other people need to be able to be held responsible, and right now, it's almost impossible to impeach somebody because it doesn't really have any substance to what it even means, or whatever. Like, if a DOJ fucking judge gets a felony, where does it even say that he can't be judged no more? What does impeachment mean to an entity like that? Or a police officer?
Well, that's kind of the assumed part. That's the common aspect of it. That we were referring to before. Nobody's going to hold a position if they have a damn felony. Actually, what? Scratch that, because we have the thoroughbred diversion program, whatever the hell that is. Get a felony, get a free pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is the
frankly,
issue, right?
That is one of the most impeachable things there is. You gave yourself a felony, then you gave yourself a free pass afterwards.
Oh, who can pass those?
That would be the council there.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, go read the Constitution. It's probably a part of the impeachment violation somewhere in there, I'm sure. But if it ain't exact wording, they might not take it.
Fair enough.
That's the reality here, and this is why I say Crane is lost in the sauce. He's signed majority of these documents, and, there's no way he doesn't understand the violations that have occurred with some of these people based on the council and their agreements when they become a council member, and, joining other agencies, signing in, state land, the state jail to become lawless, etc. It's just like, it's insane. It is actually insane that, you know, I get done for treason. He's the leader of these guys, and all I did was write on a wall, you know, and clearly in jest. These guys do it in legislation, in his fucking law room, and he don't bat an eye. It says everything to me, everything.
So what's your next step then, Soze?
I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, I'm waiting to see what happens with this Murphy case and see how stupid it is. So, perhaps he does get, you know, them impeached and they get the boot or something, and then it's just, there you go, new mayor. And I got a feeling, you know, whoever the right people back will be mayor in the next election. That guy is not going to get mayor no matter how many dicks he sucks or how much money he pays out. Nobody's voting for that motherfucker except for some of the PD. And that would be some of the PD, not a lot of them.
I don't disagree with you, but we restart this cycle of the same thing, where you have individuals that probably have no idea of what the extent of the power is and how to enact it, and then we become frustrated with the same cycle that's happened. You're bound to repeat it because, frankly, most likely, no one's going to do anything about it.
Right.
Because they don't know it. And
Well,
as you said, the whole skeleton thing 7 months ago, whatever the hell it is, these documents, they're supposed to fill out the factions. Son, I don't think I've seen that. But in reality, is neither will they.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I feel like the right people, getting behind the right people, will be what can change it if it doesn't happen beforehand. And the amount of people, criminal, civilian, police, even lawyers that were at my court case standing on my side of the room, understanding my viewpoint, even talking to people over there in the hospital, I think if I back somebody that is reasonable, sensible, and, you know, actually for the people, we can make the changes happen through the mayorship.
You actually think that there's going to be someone that's truly for the people for once and not
No.
the fair? Exactly.
No.
I think that is a very high expectation that is not going to be met.
No. So I believe how you get the people on your side, though, is show them what you're going to do. If there's something that implies, you know, the people are the power, the people will feel like that's the right method, because the base of every person and their fears of, you know, the biggest fears is becoming nothing and being meaningless to everything. Being stuck in a place where you have no existence or meaning. And if you make these people believe they are a power and they have something to believe in and fight for, then I believe it's a very easy process. Unless, of course, you own all the news outlets and then you just make Biden or Trump ads and hope for the best.
Well, I don't think we have a bipartisan system here too much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think... I just don't see who else will shape what the people need and what the people want without writing up something and showing, you know, what the people need and what the people want. Really, it's just democracy. That's what the people want.
Yeah, well, I mean, frankly, yes, you're correct with that. I don't know who or what or how that would even been shown to them.
I mean, I'm not sure how it all works and what would be accepted, but I believe it depends on this court case, the way I see it, because if they're going to allow in law that, you know, the Constitution can be, you know, I guess, gone against in a way via legislation and a people vote, then anything's possible, really.
Then what's the point of it?
Well, you write a legislation that says it can't be ever violated in a way where people wouldn't be in power. And then you write the document and say, hey, this is not to change unless it's a 90% plus vote or some bullshit like that. You got to make the Constitution have its core what would be the legislative constitution, the Constitution's constitution at that point, but the core of it needs to be strong, solidified for the people, and make sure the power that be is always in check, no matter what authority it is.
That's true there. But once again, the power of who can do that.
Well, that's the thing. The mayor and the people, they have the power.
So what you're saying, the ones that grant them the power also have the power to rewrite the power that was granted by them by somebody else.
I mean, this guy made himself an agent of the state to run the commissions, right? So, I mean, I guess.
Fair enough.
You want a haircut, buddy? Yeah? You want Dad to give you a haircut?
Well, hey, a lot to think about there, friend. I don't know what else to say with that, but sounds like we're up creek without a damn paddle right now. That's it.
I think the reality is, I mean, I don't know what would be accepted, but if the mayor in the next election, or even now, if somebody's able to set up a vote or something to change things, then as a whole, if it's a high percentage vote, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to redo whatever the fuck we want. I mean, I don't think there's going to be many people in this city that give a fuck about 99% of the legislation right now and how fucking stupid it is.
You know, I don't think there is either.
I believe the Constitution in itself should give power to entities in different directions that is like pretty, understanding. And if we have a sheriff that's impeachable, we have a commissioner or a mayor, a DOJ that's impeachable by the people, at that point, they will fear going against the people. They will want to make sure they do their job right in a fair way and make sure things are balanced. And, that is what democracy is, right? If we can kick them out and,
yes,
get them in, then there ain't no problem.
Government should fear its people, not the people fearing the government.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I believe, with how the Constitution is written right now, like I said, there's very little information on how impeachments work, how we remove authorities, especially, corrupt ones in DOJ or ineffective ones in certain areas. There's just no way to do anything. We have to rely on, sadly, Crane. And like I said, I don't think he's the enthusiastic man he was once before to, have the hunger for the law or have the hunger to create for the people. Maybe if he had something above his head that said, do your shit, or you might just get your ass kicked just like the mayor can, then maybe it'd work a little better. Maybe not, though.
Grass isn't always greener at times, though, and it's always that the devil that you know versus devils you don't, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if the state's always there to not let anything get too far out of hand, I don't see it as an issue. At the end of the day, they do sign every legislation that comes through, so they can always rescind on things if,
I believe they have a veto power there. They have that written in there. They can basically say nope.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone's going to
PCP in that whole thing. They have the power to do that themselves.
Yeah, unless all the people write a fucking something to the state, they ain't gonna do shit. I mean, but at this point, they're sitting on a table just signing any legislation that comes across because they don't give a fuck. They just want money.
Then give me a damn address of any contacts there, and I'll write the damn thing myself. How about that?
Listen, I looked at my old contact forward, and it was, what the fuck was it? I got a small dick _ Davis rules at hotmail.com or something like that. That's who I used to send emails to. So I don't know if they're around no more, but I mean, listen, I'm sure if we made some sort of document or something and it was proven by the people, maybe we could get a vote or something to happen or something that could change things. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, the people of power need to fear the people. And if that's something we can do to even the people above, then maybe so. Wait, this phone call's only gone for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Wow.
Or no, this technology with this doesn't exist for anything over an hour. Apparently, just we don't believe
Oh,
in
yeah,
six
I get
digits
it.
there.
I mean, technically, I was in jail for 60 months back in that day, so I get it.
Uh huh.
Nobody really thinks further than 10 minutes ahead. All right. Well, I mean, listen. I don't know how many people you think are, in that building over there, lawyers, DOJ, or whatever, that'd be interested in something, getting something more defined or something that we can maybe pass on to other people and just hope that something happens. Maybe even on top of that, all the court proceedings and whatnot with strange things. This is why I wanted to wait for the Murphy shit just to see what happens.
Fair enough.
Because there is a reality that maybe he's got the right judge. Maybe it's somebody that will see this in a viewpoint that isn't biased. It's the head of the bar, right? Going against these people. It ain't just some random guy with a tinfoil hat on like me and orange gumboots.
Well, I've seen Murphy's defense. I've been in a lot of court cases with him. I like the guy somewhat. I've ruled against him quite often, but the reality is, publicly, and I will say this to him, is that he was always the most unprepared lawyer I ever had against me, or anyone. So I don't have a whole lot of faith that it's going to be well done.
Yeah,
unless he proves me wrong.
There's some very simple things. Like I said, all he's got to do is add to evidence the council requirements that they put in legislation, just the contradictions between the legislations and the constitutions, and there's already other evidence circulating. That should be enough to show that they're impeachable. I mean, the gross negligence that happened at the jail as well. They said no EMS or PD were to go there. People died.
Have you spoken with him?
With who?
With Murphy.
Yeah, for a little bit. I told him if he needs my help, I'll do it. But like I said, I sort of like that I didn't get out the evidence that I posted in the docket, because I want people to see the issue. And even if I explained that everything thoroughly, it would have been the same result. So I don't know. I just want things to somewhat fail, but be viewed in a way that is, I might go to jail. The DOJ might think that's a win, but everybody sees the failure as a whole because the evidence is out there. So a few stumbles is good. I'm a patient man when it comes to this shit, but I don't want to step into Murphy and say, do this, do this, do this. I want to see what happens first, because I think this is one of the few judges that I haven't seen step forward and take a case, and I want to know who he's batting for.
Oh, fair enough. You want to give him the rope and see how far do they hang themselves with it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this fucking Adams guy, I fucking knew straight away. He even admitted that the criminal documentation in which I put my they put their templates in was the right one, and then he said no, it doesn't have to be fact for a statement of charges because I said so. And well, the due process is all according to what documents we have, and they're the only documents published. So he's failed in his own due process for people.
Fair. I'd also like to hear his side to this. I don't know everything about it, so that's one side.
I've been trying to run into him too, so I can have a conversation. But it's some of these judges are a little difficult to run into at certain times of the day. So I'm still going to try it, and we'll see.
Well, fair enough. I wish you the best with it.
Okay. Okay. Well, listen. Either way, I'm gonna keep eyes on this shit, and I'll shoot you a text or something if I get some more info on what's possible, or people running for mayor, or any sort of ideas on what we can do to make this happen. If you want to try to get people together that want to document the holes and issues we have, maybe we can try to find somebody to pass it on to, and see where it goes. From there, see if we can make something happen to fill up the holes. And I don't expect people's heads to roll or nothing, but it would be nice to make
I don't think it has to get to that.
Mean something.
Correct. I don't think it has to get to the point where heads are rolling. I'm not calling for anybody's with that. I just think it needs to be some sort of guidance as to what can and cannot, because the theoretical overarching hand that it should be guiding, for example, this mayor or whoever is, just needs a little nudge at times.
Mm-hmm. The fear of the people. Exactly right.
Correct.
Okay.
All righty.
Well, good talk.
Yes, indeed. All righty.
I
Well, you
believe
take
that's
care
the longest I've been on a phone ever in my life, except for like a banking call. Please hold. Please hold. Anyways, good talk, pal. I'll talk to you later.
All righty. Take care.